the first meaning, second meaning, third meaning, they're all just referring to dhammas, to realities, not I who suffers. What I'm saying is that the person might be referring to akusala, unpleasant feelings to the body or mind, and say I suffer, but actually even that is just a dhamma. And if your answer was about all phenomena are dukkha, right? So even if it's just referring to unpleasant feeling, that's also just a dhamma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only unpleasant feeling is dukkha, and the arahat doesn't have aversion, so the arahat has no dukkha in their opinion. But it's just I pointed out the khandhas by themselves. It's not I have dukkha or the arahat has dukkha, but the khandhas arise and pass away, and that is by itself dukkha. Here's another question, Ajahn. Talking about sometimes they talk about eating less. That it's good not to eat so much. That's one of the stages, if you like, to have that people should strive to. What do you say about that?
That's why even Buddha himself said, sometimes I eat a lot.
He said that?
Yeah.
Well, eat a lot in the sense that sometimes he has morning...
Depends on condition. Otherwise there is clinging very deeply, very subtle to that idea.
Sure. But why is it a good thing? And in general?
It's good for
it's more healthy.
health.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
That's true. That is so true.
What I understand is also not it's good for health. It's just that you know how much it is. Like they say, monks eat food as medicine. So you know how much you need. You don't need overdose, right?
More or less, it depends on whether there is attachment at that very moment of eating. Even you eat less, there can be attachment.
Oh, absolutely. So much.
No rule.
And I think that's where a lot of people come in from. They wonder about eating less, and they try to eat less but with attachment.
How about prompted and unprompted? That's always seems a difficult topic to me. When you see in the Abhidharma the citta that's prompted and the citta that's unprompted. I mean, I just...
Instead of thinking about prompted or unprompted, what about very weak and strong?
But can't there be... we say prompted is more weak, right, usually?
We think more weak, what does it mean?
Yeah.
But when it's weak, and when it's strong. For example, if we don't read the Pitaka at all, and can there be the understanding without reading, hearing, considering? Impossible. So at moment of reading, it can bring about the understanding, right? Is it prompted or unprompted? Take the whole while to think about it. But the most important thing is at moment, no matter it's prompted or unprompted, it's very weak or very strong.
Well, weak and strong, I understand that. That seems quite clear, but I'm just saying prompted and unprompted seem not so useful for me.
And
as a
for
category.
example, the development of jhana, samatha, without those citta before the moment of jhana, it has to have those moments. Parikama, upachara, anulomna, and on, prompted. Without this, it cannot arise at all. So by that way, is it prompted or unprompted?
Prompted, I guess.
It doesn't matter at all. But when it's weak or strong, we can understand that.
Yes.
So what you just talked about, jhana, so this weak and strong...
No, in that sense. That's why we have to classify by way of whether it is kamavachara or rupavachara. They are different.
So the same way as in jhana, prompted and unprompted, even the kamavachara...
No, for jhana, it does not classify by way of prompted or unprompted.
It is not.
But when we talk about the meaning of prompted, there must be cittas before that moment. So what about jhana? There must be moment of parikama, upachara, anulom before jhana arises. Is it prompted by those moments. See, we don't have to think about that at all.
But it is given that classification
So
in every
I
Dhamma.
think that the meaning of it is weak or strong.
But surely...
For example, you don't like to go there at all. But when someone persuades you and then you go very
That's prompted,
weak.
but it's more weak, yeah.
That can be understood.
Okay.
Instead of trying to know what moment is prompted.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, but that's what I think is Robert's point, is that when the word prompted, unprompted is used, we tend to think about so many things and not just on that particular moment. It's I think more useful to talk about weak and strong, and maybe give the example, as you're saying, that for some things, if I see some particular fruit, I want to have it. Another one, I'm not interested. I won't even go and try to get it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And it can be that first moment is prompted, and moments after that it's unprompted.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ajahn. Right. Here's another question I had about, we've talked about it before, but maybe there's something. The upadana kanda and the kanda, the arahat doesn't have upadana kanda anymore, right? But
his kanda can be upadana kanda.
of someness. Okay, yeah. Okay.
One meaning is upadana self. The other meaning is the object. Upadana.
Okay. Is it an important distinction between upadana kanda and
To
kanda?
understand the truth.
Okay.
Yeah. What is upadana and why that is upadana kanda? Because of that is upadana of that object.
And what about rupas that are not experienced? Are they upadana kanda?
Does it show up?
No.
So upadana for that which is not there. Just to the object.
Can this be upadana kanda?
Certainly. Instantly. Okay. Asava. Upadana. Upadana is stronger because it show up. But asava, 3 moments after seeing, is there. Avijjasava, pavasava, cittasava, kamasava. That's why it seems like we are sitting all the time. In truth, no one at all. But asava is there.
So, Chan, so long as we Puthujjanas, this self-wrong understanding, this sakyaditi, atanurditi must arise very often, isn't it?
But the texts say a baby doesn't have sakyaditi because they're not thinking about things, they don't have the conceptual word. So they have it as an asava, but it's not appearing. So wouldn't that be the same for us, people who've heard a lot of Dhamma? We're not thinking and believing that there's a self, so it's not really arising for us very often at all, is it?
Just like baby.
Just like baby, yeah, maybe.
Exactly the same. 3 moments and then asava.
Asava already risen. Not conditioned stronger kilesa.
No understanding. When it is avijjasava, see, akusala cannot understand anything, but it's there already.
But ditti, we're talking about
the
ditti.
idea of I is there.
As a latent tendency, it's there. But I mean, it's not pariyutana. It's not showing itself.
It doesn't arise.
Yeah, for you.
But when it arises,
secondary.
what level? As soon as seeing has fallen away, 3 moments after that it's there. Unknowingly.
A very subtle one, you mean?
So very subtle. That's
yeah.
why another word for arahata is khinasava.
Yes.
Khina is eradicated.
Okay.
And asava, no more asava.
I know that ditti asava is there, but not. What I'm saying is there's no pariyuta for the ditti.
When it's not the anusaya or pariyutana.
It's already arisen.
And when it's at level of kama, it is stronger than pariyutana.
Yes.
So the difference between the baby and say someone who believes in God is that the baby does not have a beliefs.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's the wrong view is there.
Can you clarify though? Ditthi is not at the level for, if someone has correct theoretical understanding, the parayutana level of ditthi is not arising, is it? Or
there
wouldn't arise very often, or is
there are
it?
3 levels:
Mhm.
anusaya,
Yes.
and prayutana, and vitikama.
Yes,
At level of committing deeds,
yes.
karma.
It's oozing out, but it's not as a karma. It doesn't condition go further to be karma.
Like karma would be preaching
Yeah.
for God.
Or even
something, right?
thinking or really
Yes.
believing that
Yeah.
I'm here,
If Buddha didn't say anything about asava, how can we know that arahata has to eradicate even the asava and anusaya?
So, Chan, it would seem that even while we're here discussing Dhamma and asking Dhamma questions, it often happens asking from the idea of self. Yeah.
Until it's directly understand the characteristic of that as just no one at all.
And going back to what you said at the beginning and that's knowing one object at a time.
For sure.
And yet, that doesn't seem to arise very often, knowing one object at a time.
Never, because it has to be nimitta.
But even knowing nimitta
Right.
clearly doesn't seem to... That's only at the level of nama rupa paracitta jnana when it's very clear.
Just one.
But before that then, let's go back to before nama rupa paracitta jnana.
So imagine
Yeah.
it is not this way or this kind of world appearing. So many things were only one object through minder. The world lost completely.
But that's nama rupa paracitta when it appears like that through mind. Or what about before that, at the level of satipatthana, before nama rupa paracitta jnana?
Okay. The beginning of satipatthana is not as clear. So even right now, there can be moment of satipatthana of hardness, or that which experiences hardness, but there are so many things too. So it's not clear. And when right understanding begin to understand better, there can be the moment of understand this and then that separately, while now it's not separated. So it begins to appear a little clearer and clearer until it's so clear.
And of course, if one's trying to have that happen, that is going the wrong way again. So it's so subtle a path, I guess. Yeah.
Further and further.
Further away.
Further to experience it. Because it's here,
Yes.
and then we think about it.
Going
further
somewhere else,
away,
but
yeah.
it's already here right now, as it is. Yeah.
And Robert, wouldn't that be a good example of ditthasava? Because often this trying to understand, arises even in Dhamma discussion.
It's subtle ditthasava. Yeah.
So the path is so subtle.
Actually, it's parayutana. At the parayutana level.
Parayutana means it's not anusaya.
It's
Yes.
known.
Yes.
And this is the path. Move a little bit on the way to understand the truth. That's why the path is so very subtle. No one knows that we are on the path when there is moment of understanding. Each moment is the move towards realizing the truth. Anytime it has to be unexpected. Otherwise, desire or wishing is there, lurking.
Why does it have to be unexpected exactly? Ajahn, could you say?
Otherwise, it's atta.
We're trying to make it. That means if it's not, we're trying to make something appear.
Yeah, until
Yeah.
no more thought about it,
Yeah.
no imagine at all. Because who can imagine next moment to be impossible? And when it's so clear, pop up.
Yeah. On the other hand, we know roughly next moment's going to be seeing or hear. Well, roughly in the next few moments, seeing or hearing.
Impossible. It's there already.
Okay, yeah.
Before anyone can think about it.
See, that again is just memory, right? Remembering the past and thinking
See,
that it's the same thing.
until this understanding is clearer, it doesn't mean that it understands that so clear and those so clear, but now, at this very moment, understanding clear, impossible. That is the moment of letting go. Enough.
That's the key. It's not trying to make something happen. It's letting go. It's the opposite. Yeah.
And it happens that way, for sure, unexpectedly. No one can imagine how strong it is, how clear it is, depending on conditions only. So just understand, in order to let go, the idea of self secretly, unknowingly.
Secretly.
Secretly.
What does that mean? Just you're not interested in showing other people, sort of
No
thing?
one knows.
No one knows. I see. Yeah, no one else would know. Yeah.
It works now, on the way.
You mean like Asankarika, I mean, accumulates little by little, like the knife's handle. I think that's what Ajahn means.
There were 500 rich men, merchants, and they came to the Buddha and they said, how should we spend our time? You know, what should we do? We're busy, we have our wives, our children and our businesses, what should we do? And the Buddha said, you should spend your time studying those discourses about sunyata. Study the deep discourses, the teachings on sunyata, I mean anatta, essentially. In the Pali it says sunyata in this case. So, as you see in this place, there's always an emphasis on anatta, right? On sunyata, it's the same thing. So, anyway, I find it inspiring.
I was just listening to Thai Dhamma Discussion, in which I had a question about something that Ajahn said about, speaking khom. Khom means sometimes in discussions, Ajahn, instead of answering directly, she often has questions back and forth. So some people don't like it; they want to hear an explanation. So Ajahn's been accused of, they use the Thai word khom ki. Khom ki, it means like to bully, like bullying the other person. But actually, in the discussion, the point I was making is that you were saying that the 500 merchants, Buddha said to hear about sunyata. And in that discussion, in that talk, Ajahn was talking, the point being made was that chance to hear Dhamma is so rare. And if you're not talking about the truth, what other way is that? And how do you know whether the other person understands? Is by asking, right? So it doesn't matter how the other person feels. This is the chance to hear the Dhamma. The person speaking also knows better than the person listening. And if you're interested, then you will welcome whatever the words are, how it feels, whatever. It's the truth is the truth. So it depends on the listener also a lot, whether if there's any interest, any understanding. But the truth is the truth. And if the listener feels that the word of truth is hurtful, it's not the problem of the speaker.
No, those people might not appreciate it at the time, but they can't stop thinking about what you said to them anyway, so it may be very beneficial in the long run.
And that's what Kunanop also said, that certain things he heard, or not Kunanop, who maybe someone else in that group, said that even he felt that certain things he heard Ajahn say didn't sound nice, but in the long run it helped,
Because people sometimes do not think about the subtle point at all.
Yeah, if you don't bring it up for them.
Yeah, and then they just shocked, and then they know that it's there. Never known before.
Is the unique Buddhist teaching, so it's right that it should be emphasized. Yeah, it's the special way. I mean, other teachers teach anicca maybe or dukkha, but only the Buddha can teach anatta. So.
Well, the truth is the truth, and the truth that all dhammas are anatta. So if you're not talking about anatta, then means you don't understand the truth.